are 8 things that I see developers doing wrong, both large developers, small developers in New York City, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Long Island City, for example. So the first thing is not getting your documentation done. So not putting together your offering plan and legal documents, submitting them to the Attorney General. The reason that this is so important is because, if you're any kind of developer, you already know this, but if you don't, it's super important to know that there are restrictions on when we as agents can market your property to the public. And you have to get to a certain place in the process in order for us to be able to sell your place. And ideally, we're starting to sell the building, sell the apartments in the building prior to any TCOs, prior to any COs, when the building's still being constructed, right? You should be able to market this stuff in the form of renderings. You can have a website that is made completely of renderings. I have a couple examples on alignprojects.com. And you should be able to sell that building prior to there being any real photos of actual apartments or staging or anything like that. The next thing is not doing a website and customized SEO for the building. So you've filed your paperwork and you've done it on time and you're ready to start selling, but you don't actually have marketing in place to drive traffic to a customized website for your properties. Now, the thing is when you present a property to in Zillow or StreetEasy or whatever, everything is presented the same. There's no way to distinguish your property without actually creating a website that is customized for your place. If you look at the Relateds of the world and the Xtels of the world, are they creating buildings without creating like a customized website? No, they're not, because they know that you can tell a story with your own website. You can present your property and distinguish it, make it something special in the eyes of the consumer if you do it online and you do it in your own way. But when you wait and when you just rely on something like Zillow or Trulia or StreetEasy, then everything is presented the same and there's no distinguishing your property from the next property, right? So that's the second thing. Third thing, understaffing. I see this a lot there's a place in Long Island City. It was a nice building, mid-sized building, I don't know, probably 40 some units, something like that. And they had one guy showing the building and he was booked all week long. I would ask him, I had several buyers that were looking in the neighborhood and I would ask him, oh, when's the next time we can get in? It would be like a Monday morning. He'd be like, Sunday afternoon, I can squeeze you in between two appointments. So you got to take about 10 to 15 minutes. This has happened multiple times. Understaffing. Sometimes I think that if you on the developer side and on the seller side, you don't necessarily know these things because they may not, rarely are you going to get the feedback that, oh, your agent is too busy and doesn't have time to show. But it happens. And the reason that it's a problem is because when you have buyers who are looking to spend $1.5 million, $2 million, whatever the price is, $500,000, that we don't want to rush them through the process. You don't want to say to them, look, you got 15 minutes. We're going to look at 3 different apartments that are in your price range in the building. And we may or may not have time to see some of the amenities. That is like a horrible, horrible way to sell your building. And that's enough said. You can imagine why that's a problem for buyers. It also engenders a little bit of a dislike on the part of other agents, the buyer side agents, as well as the buyers themselves towards the building and towards the listing agent when they kind of pressure you to like get done quickly. Hiring agents who don't know the neighborhood or didn't bother to research the neighborhood. This is such a simple thing. You don't even have to live in the neighborhood to sell in it, but you have to take a walk around the neighborhood and see what it's like if you're selling a building in the neighborhood. You have to know what the nearest supermarket is, what the nearest restaurants are. I was looking at a small new development, like 10-unit new development building in Bed-Stuy. And we asked agents, what's the nearest supermarket? And they're like, I don't know. And they started looking on their phones, Googling it. And then we asked them, well, what are the restaurants nearby? What are a good restaurant nearby? And they directed us to a restaurant in Williamsburg. Okay. These are real world stories. I'm not making this stuff up. And these are the kinds of things that are so easy to know. It just requires a little bit of effort and time on the parts of real estate agents. And why that situation exists, I don't know, but it does. Another thing, 1,000 square foot, 2-bedroom with a 3,000 square foot terrace. All right, this exists. This is in real life. Yeah, they had a terrace that was 3 times the size of a 2-bedroom apartment that they were selling, that it was attached to. And this is just not efficient use of square footage, outdoor square footage, especially. Outdoor square footage post-pandemic is even more valuable than it was pre-pandemic. And in this case, like, there were apartments below the terrace as well, right? So you had a 1,000 square foot 2-bedroom apartment attached to a 3,000 square foot terrace. There's no way you're extracting the value that you could out of that outdoor space that way, because nobody needs 3,000 square feet of space as a terrace. Okay. What you could do is you could do a spiral staircase from the apartments below, whether they're 1 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms or whatever, and split that terrace up into like 3 1,000 square foot terraces, or preferably, something, maybe 4 terraces out of that 3,000 square feet, right? You're just going to get a more return on the dollar when you do that. And I don't know how that, didn't work out, but, this is the kind of thing that is sort of, I think, obvious to real estate agents, that there is, at least to me, that there is a diminishing return in terms of the amount of outdoor space that you attach to an apartment and how much you get back from that space. So another thing that I've seen recently is unusable kitchens. So, and this kind of goes into the last point, which is trying to put too many apartments on one floor. Like, I know that there's value engineering going on, and you're trying to squeeze the maximum number of units out of your floor plan or your floor plate. And this is an architect thing as well. But like, the kitchens that I was thinking of is in this building, another mid-sized building. And, it had everything you wanted. It had a stove and a refrigerator and a dishwasher and a sink, but those things there was basically no cabinet space below counter level. And all the counter space was actually, that was really usable, was above the vent for the hood. And so you had to reach above the hood, and you could place things in cabinet space up there because it had high ceilings. But the agent that was showing me this was about 5'4", and she reached up on her tippy toes, and she could just barely open the cabinet because she could reach without a step ladder. And then she's like, "See, there's all this space up there." But it was not usable, right? She couldn't, like most people under the height of 5'7" couldn't really even place things up there because it was too high, right? I'm 5'11", and I could just barely see into the bottom cabinet. And any of the other shelves, I would have needed a step stool or something as well. I mean, these kinds of things, it's like, the problem with this is that I see these apartments sitting on the market, right? They've sat on the market for a long time, a couple of years now in some cases. And it's because you may have had adequate amount of space for the floor plan of the apartment, but the design of the kitchen, for example, is not usable. And so nobody wants to live in a kitchen that is not usable, or they certainly don't want to pay $1.5 million for a kitchen that's not usable. Okay. This also extends to living space and floor plans in general, which I can think of a place in Lower Manhattan and a place in Long Island City. One is a big building, one is a small or medium-sized building, and they have the same issue. Actually, both are pretty big. And the issue is that you have 2 bedrooms with a tiny living room. The kind of living room where there's only one place to put the couch and a place to put the TV, and you can have a small table for dining purposes. And the table is going to be in the way of everything. That kind of situation. And again, this is a situation where if somebody were to show me this floor plan, I would say this is not a usable living room. This is the kind of living room that is going to turn people off. And you should, like, instead of having 10 apartments on that floor, make it 9 and give them like living space so that you can charge a higher price for it. and they'll sell faster instead of sitting on the market. These same developers are now trying to rent these apartments that they're not able to sell. I think that covers, the one more actually, the last one, the 8th one, is wrong neighborhood. So if you're not related and you're not developing like a previously unused plot of land and creating your own mini city neighborhood from scratch with the shopping and cultural attractions and entertainment, as well as residential, then you have to be careful about the neighborhood. And I'm sure everybody who's watching this is very sure about the neighborhood stuff, but you see it happen. You see it happen with I'm trying not to name names, but certain developments where they are coming into the neighborhood and maybe they're a little too early, or maybe there is not enough amenities in that neighborhood to make people want to go there, or it's a pain in the ass to get to because it's not close to transportation. These are the things that you got to consider, and mistakes that I see developers make of all sizes. So I'm happy to chat about this more. If you have questions or want to chat about this, please do, and reach out. Okay. Talk to you.